first of all, Spur Change is co-hosting this workshop with Co-Development Canada. So CoDev is a solidarity organization that is working for social justice and global education in the Americas. So CoDev links unions and civil society organizations in Canada with like-minded organizations in all regions of Latin America.
Thanks, Marie-Catherine. My name is Diana Fashani. I'm the Executive Director of Co-Development Canada, a Vancouver-based international solidarity organization. It is my pleasure to present today's amazing speaker, a true leader in her community and in the trade union movement in Puerto Rico, Mercedes Martinez, who is the president of the Federation of Puerto Rican, the Teachers Federation of Puerto Rico. And she's been part of the FMPR since 2006 and its president since 2015. Mercedes obtained her master's degree in ESL from the University of Puerto Rico. In 2008, she participated with thousands of teachers in a 10-day strike, requesting a fair contract for teachers, no charter school implementation, a salary increase, and amongst other demands. So if Mercedes, if you notice that there's any technical or technological issues with today, there is an interesting context for that. Mercedes is having to join us from her mobile phone in her vehicle because of a widespread blackout in Puerto Rico. And as Mercedes will demonstrate in her presentation, that this is an impact of a disaster capitalism and privatization.
Thank you so much, Diana, for the introduction, and thank you for co-development and Spur Change. Nada, buenas tardes. Gracias por la oportunidad.
Thank you once again for the opportunity. Hopefully you can hear me okay. I believe the introduction was probably much better than expected. This is the real effect of privatization of public services. As Diana says, I'm here. So let's begin, and we can probably share the slide now. Thanks. And you can actually understand the main topic of this presentation by looking at the title, Climate Change and Disaster Capitalism, the Attack Against Public Education and Teachers' Response. Next one, please. During the past decades, public education in Puerto Rico has been suffering this huge neoliberal orchestra that tries to dismantle public education. We have been struggling against privatization to keep public education alive. Before getting into specific details, I think it's important to understand the political, economic, and social context. Puerto Rico is a colony of the United States. These represent a cut, a budget reduction from government agencies. According to 2022 census, around 46% of our families in Puerto Rico live under poverty levels. Since 2016, we were imposed a fiscal control board. Education, health services, public services, privatization are results of such austerity measures. In 2017, we faced two of the strongest hurricanes. Hurricane Irma, Category 5 hurricane, destroyed the educational infrastructure. The government at that time closed several schools. So I was mentioning the austerity measures, and as part of those measures, several schools were closed. The former secretary closed 44% of schools countrywide following the disaster capitalism. Naomi Klein has mentioned this term several times. So they took advantage of these events and dismantled the whole educational system. Julia Kelleher, the ex-secretary of education, convicted of corruption, and she promoted what she called an educational system change, which meant the shutdown of these 447 schools. This is Agripina Cera, one of the schools that collapsed. It is located in the southern part of the country. Infrastructural damage due to hurricanes, the two hurricanes in 2017, the earthquake of 2020, and last year, another hurricane, Fiona, hit the island. And it is not due to lack of budget. There is budget. Actually, the largest budget is allocated for the educational sector. So it is not a lack of budget, but rather a neoliberal plan in place where education is seen as a business. We're hit by the COVID-19. The government declared a lockdown, but the government never forced any plan. There was no technologies for teachers nor students. So this is a photo of the city where I live. Flooding impacted all the streets, and education once again suffer from various impacts. The disaster is political. The government officials were not able to protect the infrastructure where students are not actually attending classes. So disasters are also related to the lack of governance and the lack of real access to the right to education. We share the effects on the educational process. Of course, the lack of protocols to deal with the emergency. Time interruptions. Schools were closed, so there was an increase in the poor academic achievement results. More students drop out of school. This is the good and positive side of what we have been experiencing. The Teachers Federation has played a key role in the struggle against the neoliberal policies. We actually became a social movement. Unions represent teachers, different levels with different needs, specific scenarios, but throughout the years we have understood that we should actually go beyond union issues and work together as a collective for the country. And we brought specialists to assess in a holistic way our students to see whether they could have a roof and a household to live in, to provide benefits and even provide emotional support to those students that were impacted due to migration, if their families, or they even spent a year without electricity. This is a retired teacher. Lots of trees also fall into in her roof, and Gioconda Belli said once that solidarity is actually the kindness of people. This is Utuado, a landslide that affected a house. You see that everything was blocking the entrance of his house. So we had teachers, colleagues, peers. We had other union members that came to help, worker unions. We built different solidarity groups with different unions, with the civil society as well. This is a team of colleagues from southern parts of the US. They provide medicine, batteries, lanterns. They were all working on a solidarity basis. We were defending the rights to education, to housing. We had them to provide support to the communities, but we also organized with them to prevent more closures to take place. This is a school closure in Peñuelas, in the mountain areas. They were fighting together with union members to stop the school closures. At the end, this school remained open. These are images of teachers' federations marching. The former Secretary of Education that I mentioned before, she was closing schools, and we went to her office as we have 21 leaders who came to her. And after a few days, all schools that were closed, around 300 at that time, were reopened. These are images of our celebration. And we all together came out to the streets to fight to avoid privatization of the educational system. The government was unable to privatize the 300 schools that they intended to sell to the private sector. Communities struggling, saying no to privatization, defending public education. Sometimes we do not actually understand how powerful we are if we are together. In summer 2019, all unions were out there. Community organizations were protesting. We made it possible. We made the governor of Puerto Rico to leave office, and that's exactly what we can actually get if we come together and fight together. We have worked together with an organization with some brigades and community groups. We created the School Without Walls project. In the southern part of the island, infrastructure collapsed. So we created these open spaces where they were working on arts. Of course, they weren't able to attend the school, but then we brought school to them. It is important to see how we work together as a federation, BCTF, and other partners we have been working on for several years. And we were defending happiness. Part of our struggle means to be happy, to live, hope provided by children, by workers, hope to build our country step by step. With these solidarity actions, we get another level of victory in our struggle. Thanks to our struggle and hard work, we will improve our life. 85% of teachers in Puerto Rico are mainly women. Hopefully, they won't need to have other jobs. Some of the wins during the pandemic. We also won that one nurse per school, the warranty of vaccination for all, a paid COVID license for teachers, remote teaching for teachers that were more vulnerable to get sick, access to printed modules. The teachers were fighting for a dignified retirement and a fair salary. Teachers are not responsible for the debt, so we do not have to pay with our pension, with our retirement funds. This is a process not only to educate, but we also learn from our students. In 2022, last year, due to Fiona, we were able to collect a response fund. We also got generators due to the lack of energy. More than 2,000 people were impacted with generators. We also sent mattresses. So we went through the review of the different needs in order to collect water, for instance, in places where they did not have access to it, generators, mattresses, kitchens, things that people will actually need in their daily life and that were not provided by the government. Where are we now? The neoliberal agenda still wants to dismantle the public education and privatize it. Implementation of models on fashion are still in discussion. So we had a specific commission working on the reflection of these charter models. We have a specific social movements, workers movements, citizen movements, Segarra movement, a community movement, people from the US. We are all struggling together. We want to fight against the dismantling of the public education to avoid it to become a business. Next week, we are organizing a march. We hope it to be a massive march so that they actually know that there's people defending public education, that we wanted to become stronger. That's a constitutional right. I've been leading this federation for 8 years. This is my last term, and it's been a privilege for me to see and reflect on the different struggles to provide to our children, to leave our children with the great heritage of my country, as Paulo Freire mentioned once. Educators has the duty of not being neutral. Justice is always our path. We're always defending children, workers, and public education. Thank you.
I wanted to, thank Mercedes, who's not on the call right now because of the phone issues. But I'm very mindful, right, of again the impact of privatization on the island. Luma, right, the energy distribution company in Puerto Rico, which is a Canadian and US jointly owned company, and the Canadian company ATCO is based in Calgary, Alberta. So there is very much a Canadian connection to the crisis in Puerto Rico. Perhaps anyone in the chat would like, or anyone who's attending would like to share their thoughts and any comments, or even their own experiences with similar challenges in their own context, whether in Canada or in elsewhere around the world.
But Mary Catherine, my name is Alexandra. I'm the person that is responsible for the education program at Co-Development Canada. I have the pleasure and honor and excitement of working with different partners from Latin America, and one of them from with the FNPR, right? But I wanted to tell this to Mercedes. I'm so sorry. Well, I'm very sorry that she's not here, but I've always wanted to say how inspiring the work that they're doing in Puerto Rico, like, is for us. Like, I come from a country where, from Colombia, and it's a country where repression to any political activities are happening every day, or is happening every day. But I see that the work of the FNPR is so inspiring, is because they do so much work fighting for justice, as she was saying, as Mercedes was explaining, fighting with others for the same cause. I think that is, and I wanted to ask Mercedes the challenges that they found to work with different organizations from different sectors, right? How, like, if they found any challenges, and if she could maybe tell us a little bit about how they've been able to overcome those challenges, because in any group of or collective of organizations, there's always like political differences and challenges, right? So I'm always interested in hearing from people that are working, have been able to work with other organizations, how they manage the differences and the challenges, so they can be focused on their goal and be able to achieve so much as the FNPR and with all the other community and social organizations they're working with have been doing.
Thank you, Alexandra, and thanks for your work as well. In co-development, well, we will always face challenges. There are always difference at the multi-sectorial level, but we actually try to focus on our common grounds. We always work on safety rules. What are we going to do? What are we accepting? What are we not accepting at all? Which are the rules to discuss, debate? We all participate. One voice, one mic, for instance, it's one of the rules. It's specific rules to communicate to. In every meeting, we agree on the ground rules. I think differences are okay. Debates are good. We need to discuss. We need to reach an agreement. And if there's no agreement, we try to work on the common ground. We have an alliance with different stakeholders. We will have probable civil disobedience activities. Some may agree with that, some others not. So whoever wants to join, that's okay. There are different styles, different organizations, but we always try to find the common points. We respect each other, we value the work of the others, and we recognize the efforts of all. We all want to help.
Thank you, everyone. I don't know, Diana or Mercedes, if you had any last words. Otherwise, we would wrap up here. Thank you.
Well, I just wanted to thank you all. And I shouldn't have the last word if Mercedes would like to have the last word.
No, solamente darle las gracias por esta oportunidad tan
Thank you once
maravillosa.
again for the opportunity. On behalf of our union, we're always here. We also want to hear from your struggles so that we can also support those. And it's been a pleasure to be with you. Apologies for the electricity issues, the technical issues, but I think it is really important to be with you to support our work. Thanks for being connected at this time, and thanks for Spur Change and co-development, the CTF, because these are the concrete examples of solidarity beyond borders.